Right guys, we're back, and so is the roll cage for the kit car. So, stage we're at now, getting excited. The panels are off, they've been prepped. We're going to have those wrapped. We've decided to go for an orange. We were going to go for the satin orange, but apparently it's not available. So we're having to go for the burnt orange gloss, which I think is going to look really nice. So we've decided to go for side panels, bonnet, steering pod there, and the nose cone and the rear boot. That's all going to be in the orange. Rear mud guards are going to be in the carbon wrap, as is the front of the dash pod. So the rest of the dash pod will be orange, the front will be carbon, and we've got to, all those are off being done. The rear, as I showed you before, is all sort of braced and welded up. That's all good. As I say, we got the roll cage back yesterday. As you can see, done a really nice job of powder coating that in the gloss black. That's all sitting there. We've got the plates in the base there welded in. Also plates in the back here, they're welded in. It welds to the top. So we've got our welder coming in tomorrow, and he's going to weld that to the chassis, and jobs are good in there. So that's that sorted. The dash pod, now whether I said before, we weren't going to remove that, but the one thing that was annoying me so much about this car is when I stuck my head underneath, I mean, it looked like a bird's nest of wires. It was absolutely ridiculous. So took the pod off, and there is, as you can see, I mean, we've ripped half the wires out, but this is what we've got here. There's just, look at this. I mean, it's an absolute disaster. It's a bloody hazard more than anything. There's wires, old wires that are not being used anymore. It must have been rewired 5 or 6 times. They haven't even bothered, they've put wires around the chassis when they didn't have to, and it's a terrible mess. So the route we've gone now is we're going to rip all that out. We're going to rewire it, obviously, from the fuse box, because I think the looms for the lights and everything else are pretty good. They're fairly modern looms. They're quite good. So we're going to keep them. Obviously, they all go to the fuse box. So from there, we're going to rewire it. Now, what I've purchased, which we should get next week, is a Race Technologies -2 dash and wiring loom. At the moment, the reason it's going to take a week or two is they're making up the looms, the loom for the engine for us. So what they do is they supply their connectors for the oil pressure, oil temperature, water temperature, and all that. The advantage we're going with their sensors and their adapters there is because they're calibrated to the dash straight away. You haven't got to do any sort of calibration. Makes it a lot easier. So all you've got to do is you give them the threads, obviously, of all the fittings, and they supply their fittings and build the wiring loom sort of bespoke. So that loom there goes into the back of the dash. There's two connections on the back of the dash. You've got one for the engine loom that goes in there, and then a second one that goes for your sort of wiring for everything else. Now, also, the one thing that was annoying me, apart from all the wiring on the dash, was, I don't know whether you've seen it before, there was so many gauges and switches. Half of them weren't being used anymore. It looked a right mess. So we've ripped all that out. We've fiberglassed all the front back to original. The only thing that's cut out is for the steering column. So we're back to a fresh start. The route we've gone is, obviously, we're just going to have that dash with the 4 buttons that it comes with on the loom to operate the dash. And we've done away with all the switches, and we've moved to this product here. So we have got, you see that? It's a Summit Technologies Talon solid state 15 channel digital control system. So this little box of goodies here is fully electronic. We're doing away with the ignition, so you've got your ignition, power on, engine start, your indicators, everything, your lights, it all goes through this. So that is a pretty trick bit of kit. Also, it comes with a rev light on the top as well. So yeah, really funky bit of kit. Few quid, but well worth it, I think. Tidies it right up. It comes with its own subloom, so you've got one connection in the back of this box of goodies here. So if we ever wanted to take the pod off, we undo that, we undo that loom, we undo the two looms on the back of the dash, and it all just comes off. Also to go with that is the Summit Technologies Venom, and this is a intelligent indicator switch module. So this wires in to the Talon, and it does away, this works all your indicators, it works everything, so that basically does away with all your relays. Yeah, pretty trick bit of kit, really tidies it up, and it's just the modern way to go in it. It's, you know, it's just it's the way forward, I think. So what we're going to do next stage with this car, as I say, all the panels are away, cage is in tomorrow. As soon as that dash turns up, we're going to send this to a local electrical company. They're going to redo all the wiring, wire up all the dash, and yeah, so hopefully 2-3 weeks and we'll have all that wiring done. Then we can get it back and get it all together. So yeah, that's the progress on the kit car, guys. Really excited for that. Oh, also, we were going to change the engine. It's been one of those things that's bugging me. I mean, this is an old 919 blade engine, and it's about, 130 horsepower. You know, it's like anything, you can never have too much power, but I think with this, having drove it on the last track day, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's enough power. You know, maybe, yeah, you can always have a little bit more, but I think that engine really does suit this chassis, and the way it handled and the power delivery, it's just what I want, I think. So we're not going to change that, we're going to keep it. Also, it sounds brilliant on the carburetors. As opposed to the throttle bike, just, you know, there was 2 or 3 other bike engine cars there, with modern engines in, and they didn't sound quite the same as this. So we're going to stick with that until it either blows up or, you know, we really do get the itch for more power. But no, bloody good engine, so we're going to keep that. Right. Moving on to the work we've got going on at the moment. As I said to you in the last video, we had some A-Series, Austin A-Series engines come in. We're well on the way with those now. So this one over here on this shelf is a Mini 850. So this has come in it's just generally a bit tired, this engine. It's come in from a car restorers, so obviously it's got to look really nice. The car's been restored. So as you can see, we've blasted and cleaned the block and painted it in the correct green there. Now we always have the colours of our engines, you know, made up, bespoke, but we go for a bit more of a gloss on it because I think it just looks nicer. So bored this block. It was at plus 20 already on the pistons, so we've gone to plus 30. Faced the block, gone through the head, unleaded exhaust seats, so now we can run unleaded fuel safe on that. Obviously cleaned, blasted all the parts and painted those. Crankshaft has been ground. We've just got to balance that crank assembly, and that's all good and ready to go once I think all the parts have arrived, actually. Yeah, all the parts have arrived. So pistons are on the rods. Are they? No, am I lying? Yeah, I'm lying. There are the old ones. So yeah, we're just going to get this one all together now. We've got all the bits, and yeah, that'll be another one done. Over here, we have a 1275 Austin Mini engine, but just the bottom end. Now, the customer sent in the bottom end. This engine had supposedly been all done about 1,000 miles ago. And I think it's the same guy that owns the company, the restoration company that's doing the 850. But this is his own engine. This is in his car. And I think he wants to, next year, he's planning on going around Europe and what have you with it. So he supplied us with the bottom end that's supposedly been all done. The reason he sent the bottom end in is because the head, for some reason, weirdly, the block hadn't been refaced by the company that did the engine. And I said, look, being what it is, a 1275, you're better off just facing it. It didn't look great anyway. And obviously, if you're going to go around Europe, the last thing you want is it blowing head gasket. So what I've done is I've stripped the engine just to make sure everything's been done correctly. And in fairness to them, it has. It's just that they hadn't done the block face. So we faced the block. The only other thing it looked like they hadn't done, because we couldn't see any machining marks, it didn't look like they'd balanced the crank assembly. So we've asked the customer to send in the flywheel and clutch cover, etc. And we've balanced this crank assembly. And as you can see, the crank's in, and we're just going to build that back into a short engine for him. We've given it a lick of paint in the correct green there. He supplied us with 2 cylinder heads, one there and one there. He said just make a good one out the 2. So we have, obviously this one here, we've got to give it a lick of paint, but we've gone through it, we've done it unleaded, we've cut all the valves and the seats, cleaned it all up, and that one's ready to be painted, and he wants to build that up himself, so we'll just supply that back. Also, got another engine from the same company. This here is, this is the Midget 1275, so it's an MG Midget 1275. This one, obviously, as you can see, all the parts have been blasted, painted in the black colour that he wanted it. See the block there's been machined, bored. This has had to go to, this was standard actually, this block, but we've had to go to plus 20 on the pistons. Again, we've ground the crank. We're waiting for him to send in the clutch and the flywheel so we can balance the crank assembly. Got all the other bits, unleaded the cylinder head, as you can see there. So this one is ready to go back together as soon as we've balanced the crank assembly. So yeah, we've it's been MG Austin week really. Been flat out doing those. As you can imagine, these engines here, they do come in a bit of a state half the time. That's why it's very difficult to sort of do quotes, and I always sort of give them a worst case scenario on an estimate with things like this, because they can come in, you know, they can come in like this and look not too bad at all and be pretty clean, or they can come in an absolute wreck. And obviously, as you can appreciate, there's a lot of hours that go into the cleaning and the prepping and the painting and what have you on these sort of engines. So yeah, we always give a bit of a worst case. But yeah, that is, so that's what we've got going on at the moment, guys. As I say, can't wait to get this kit car done. Really excited to see that now. We're going to, on the side panels here, I think we're going to go for, because it's the gloss orange that's going on it, I think we're going to go for like a matte stripe up the side with our name, you know, company name obviously on it, and then maybe like an offset couple of stripes going all the way over the car in the matte black. I think that'll look pretty funky. So yeah, look out for that. Really excited. Yeah, okay guys, well thanks ever so much. I will, I've got a couple of interesting videos coming up soon. I know you like the previous sort of warranty ones, but yeah, got a couple of beauties that I need to tell you about. You'll probably like them. So yeah, thanks a lot guys, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.